Today on Talking with TC, our special guest is one of the all-time greats in Mets history and baseball history as well. He played for the New York Mets from 1983 to 1990. He also played for the Los Angeles Dodgers, San Francisco Giants, and finished his playing career with the New York Yankees. He was selected 8 consecutive years for the All-Star Game, starting in right field in 5 consecutive years. He was on 3 World Championship teams, once with the Mets and twice with the Yankees. He was the National League Rookie of the Year in 1983. He holds the all-time record for home runs with the New York Mets with 252. He is a Mets Hall of Famer, and earlier this year had his number 18 retired at Citi Field. It's an honor to welcome to Talking with TC, Darryl Strawberry. Darryl, welcome to Talking with TC.
Well, thank you for having me. It's good to see TC, man. It's been a long time, brother.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time out, Darryl. I know you got a ton of things going on, and so it's great to have you on the show. And I was down here. I'm down here. I live in Florida, and I'm down at this fantasy camp. And so all of these campers have been asking me. And they said, hey, when are you going to have Darryl Strawberry on the show? I said, you know what, guys, I don't want to break the news to you too early, but he's coming on this week. And so they're all excited. Of course, I tried to call the other night with Doc. Doc and I were having dinner together. And so it certainly is a pleasure to have you on. So thanks for coming on.
Well, you're one of the best, TC. We love you, man. And, when you reach out, we respond. You're part of the Mets family and everything, and a big part of, with the history around there, and you being the manager there and everything. It was very special to me to watch you manage those ball clubs.
Well, thanks. So Straw, this past summer, you had your number retired. Tell the fans, what did it mean to you when you got that phone call from, I'm sure Steve Cohen probably called you and gave you the information. How'd you feel about that?
I was just kind of quiet, and kind of disbelief, that this is really taking place. I heard about it, that it may take place at some point in some time, but to finally get there and get that call from Steve and realize that, he is a fan of the organization. He is a fan of the team. He's a fan of the history of the team, and that's what makes it special. He's not just a owner. He kind of reminds me of the Boss George. He takes pride in wearing his New York Mets shirt and his New York Mets hat. And I think people don't understand that when you have an owner like that that looks at the history of the organization. Important. When you have an organization, and especially playing in New York City, and you got to compete against the Yankees, you definitely have to put your history of what has happened there, all the great players that have been through there. We've had a lot of great players that come through that organization. We had a lot of great coaches and managers that come through. Sitting here, we're talking to one of them. You are one of those guys. That elevated that organization. Give credit where credit need to be due, and I think all respect. That's what Steve is doing with the organization. He's giving a lot of credit to the people that made some special moments for this organization.
Darryl, those times when you first got to the big leagues, I mean, the Mets were obviously on the rise. So tell me, go back and tell me about those early years with all of you young guys. I mean, gosh, you guys were young, man, when you got to the big leagues, and and all of a sudden to rise into that stardom at an early age. How hard was it in New York City to do that?
It was hard. I think the most important thing that happened for us was having great coaches. I think Bobby Valentine, Buddy Harrelson, Frank Howard. I'm talking about guys that understood baseball. Jim Fry, Bill Robinson, Davey Johnson. I had all those guys along the line to guide us and help us develop. Mel Stoudemire, he helped the pitching staff. There's just so many great coaches that we had coming up that helped us. Of course, we were young and playing in the big city, but then we had the veteran players blend in. We had Keith Carter, Ray Knight, with Mookie Wilson. With all those guys, with all the younger guys coming along, they helped orchestrate a great chemistry, for us. I think that was the most important thing. People talk about TC chemistry is not important. Chemistry is important when you're playing baseball and you have a team. You have to have a team that's in it all together. Important thing. Coming up, we had so many young players like myself, Doc, and Lenny, and Elster and just Kevin Mitchell. You just go along and along that organization, and you think about our minor league system. Our minor league system was stacked with players, and we had tons of players that could have came up and played in the big leagues, but it was so many guys in front of them that they couldn't play. So you started trading off of some, and they would end up playing in the big leagues somewhere else. So I think the organization was great. Because of Frank Cashin, he did a phenomenal job developing, that farm system and keeping that farm system developed so he can use those players. Greg Jeffries, Max came up. They were great players. I don't care what anybody would say about them. They were great players for us. They did a lot of great things, and they helped us get in the winning circle each year.
Darryl, you bring up some of the coaches, and obviously, the fans, because it's the new fans, they can't relate to some of those coaches. What one coach do you think made the biggest impact in your career, whether it was in the minor leagues coming up or the big leagues when you finally got here?
I just think it was a variety of the coaches in the minor league, like Chuck Hiller when I started off in rookie ball. Never want to forget him, where he made it comfortable for me coming in a big #1 draft pick. That's the start of your career. People look at your career, but they don't look at the start of people. Gene Dusan, who was my A-ball coach, and he was my double-A coach. Though had it not been for guys like Gene Dusan, I probably would have never excelled because he was there to encourage me, to keep me focused, even when I was having hard times going through the minor leagues and everything. Because everybody don't realize how difficult it is, coming through the minor leagues and having to play and trying to achieve and trying to establish yourself to get to the big league. So these guys really help you get to that next level. I don't think they get a lot of credit, TC. More everybody focus on all the coaches in the big leagues. Yeah, I had great coaches in the big league, but had it not been for Chuck Hiller and Davey Johnson was my manager in AAA, and he would eventually be my manager in the big leagues. Had it not been for those guys and those relationships, because those are personal relationships I took. And they were like father figures to me, and I'm very thankful for them. And that's why when my number was retired, I honored them because they are a big part of who I became as a ball player. And I think people don't recognize those guys just because they don't get to the big leagues and be coaching at the big league level.
Darryl, people don't realize, you got drafted out of high school and all of a sudden here you are. And you've always been a good player. I'm sure you were the star in your area. And by the way, I know there were a lot of good players from that area you were in, but what kind of pressure, Darryl, did you put on yourself as a #1 pick, 18 years old or 17 years, whatever you were when you got drafted? What kind of pressure did you put on yourself, or did you feel, when you first walked into that camp? Because when you knew that first day you walked to wherever you had to go to start your season, all eyes were on you. How did that affect your development?
I think it just kind of disturbs you a little bit inside because you're just a kid and you just want to play baseball. You've always been playing baseball. And I had to really tell myself to, stay and stick with what baseball is all about. Baseball doesn't change. It's the same game since I've been playing since I was little league. So I had to make that adjustment. But like I said before, it was the coaches that helped me through that process. Gene Dusan was a big help for me through that process in the A-ball because I came that close to quitting after that A-ball season. And he walked me through that A-ball season because I had to deal with a lot of negative from fans and people saying things. And he was just like, don't look up there. Don't be a part of none of that. And he helped me through that. He helped me learn that this is going to be real. It's going to be a real challenge you're going to have to go through, and adversity is going to be, and you deal with it. And so that was the part that I had to learn more than anything, TC, because I think if you don't learn that, you can respond in either a negative way or a positive way. I think the positive side of me was, okay, if you're going to say negative things, then I'm going to show you with my talent. He says, let your talent shine. And that's what I learned how to do. I learned how to let my talent shine. And once I got through that process of going through the lower levels of minor leagues and getting to AAA, I started to get more mature about things. And when you get to the big leagues, you also need the help once you get to the big leagues. I think a lot of people don't realize how much pressure it is to play at the big leagues levels. And you need everybody around you to help you to be a big part of you. And I experienced that with, like I said, great coaches. Bobby Valentine, my first year, was great for me. He always inspired me. And he was the one that started the high five when I was hitting home runs and stuff like that. So it's just those little things like that that make you yourself as a player. And once I got to that belief system, through Jim Fry. Had it not been for Jim Fry getting in my face, TC, I was supposed to be at the ballpark at 1 o'clock. I didn't show up till 3 o'clock. And he got in my face and he said, I'm never going to wait for you again. If you want to be a great Major League Baseball player, you'll be at this ballpark early every day. And from that day forward, I always was at the ballpark early every day. It's not about working on things that you're good at. It's about working on things that you're not good at. And he taught me that, and that excelled me into a whole different direction of playing.
Wow. You know, Darryl, I went to the dinner the night before you had your number retired, and you gave great tributes to Eric Davis. What kind of an impact? Because, you know, I'm telling you, he was a good player also. So what kind of, you know, where did Eric Davis fit into all of this development stuff?
Best friend growing up, best friend playing ball together when it came to baseball. And we started a group of all of us when we were young and go to Harvard Park every year, January 1st, to start training and getting ready for the season. And me and Eric was that guy. We played on Connie Mack ball team together. Eric was playing shortstop. He was our leadoff batter. I batted third. Chris Brown was our number 4 hitter playing third base. So we were kind of stacked in the middle of all of that coming out of South Central LA together. But our brotherhood, me and Eric Davis, our brotherhood was just a bond that you can't intertwine in and you can't take away, no matter what, you know, what we've done in life and what we've been through, because we come from that place where we believed in each other, we cared for each other, and we never competed against each other. I think that's what people fail to realize about athletes. Is sometimes a lot of athletes are competing against each other. Me and Eric grew up together and played on the same team. We were not in competitions. We were all about killing the other team. That was the number one thing for us. So Eric Davis was one of the Central LA, out of Compton, just like I was. We saw all these other great players that came out. We don't take anything away from a Hall of Famer, Ozzie Smith, Eddie. But I just believe me and Eric Davis was those two kind of players that was just a different type. You know, we just didn't do one thing. I think we did everything, you know, as far as playing the ball game. And a lot of people recognize that for us, that you can run, hit, throw, and, you know, they can hit for power. They can do it all. Steal bases, you know, they just did everything. And Eric Davis was that guy too.
You know, you brought up a name, a guy who played for me. God, I don't know if I wouldn't say towards the end of his career, but he was trying to make a comeback, was Chris Brown. He was some kind of a talented player, man. You know, for a big man, he could run too. I saw him run down Deion Sanders one time in a rundown. So, yeah, Chris Brown was a good player, boy.
Chris Brown was our third baseman in my high school team. So we played at Crenshaw High together. He was our third baseman when I was a junior. And he just dominated that senior year. I mean, scouts shook their head. Every time he came up to bat, he would hit the ball so far. Scouts couldn't believe how far he could hit the baseball in high school. And he also was a great basketball player for Crenshaw High School basketball team. He won the city championship in 1979. They killed, I can't remember, I think they beat John May or something like that. But he was just one of the phenomenal athletes that come out of Crenshaw High. Another guy like Ellis Valentine, Wendell Tyler, Marcus Johnson, myself, Chris Brown, all of us as those elite players that come out of Crenshaw High.
Yeah, those are great. So, you know, Darryl, we got a situation here, I think, you know, in New York. You know, you're Pete Alonso is kind of going through a similar where you were, you know, the star of the team, you know, a huge piece of the puzzle. You know, now all of a sudden he's faced with free agency, and I know he wants to probably stay a Met. You know, what advice would you give Pete Alonso heading into this free agency?
Well, I think the most important thing is knowing where you're supposed to be. And if New York is the place where you're supposed to be, then you stay there. If it's not, if it's somewhere else that you're supposed to be, then that's what you do. You take the opportunity and make a decision that's best for you and your family. And hopefully he makes the right decision. I think that's the most important thing for Pete, is to make the right decision for his career, what his career is going to be like. And at the end of the day, make sure financially that you are taken care, you know, for the rest of your life with your family. You only get one shot at this.
So, you know, Darryl, one of the things I've seen here in recent times with the advent of all the analytic stuff, you know, we have forgotten sometime, in my opinion, the big league players have forgotten about what kind of an impact the veteran player can make. And I've been trying to, you know, talk people in, you know, there's no reason why Darryl Strawberry and, you know, David Wright and those guys aren't in camp someplace, just doing nothing more than relaying, stuff that you learned to help the new generation player get better. Do you find that as something that you would, if you were a young player today, you would cherish?
Of course I would cherish it. I mean, these are guys that had history, had great success. They've been in the winning circle. Have we completed it all the time? No, but we've been there. And, it's hard to get there, TC. You know that as a manager just as well as a player. It's not that easy to get there just because you have one blur season and you think you have arrived and you got there. That doesn't mean you're going to get there next year. I mean, they had a great season this year, for the Mets. It doesn't guarantee you're going to get to the National League Championship Series again. That's hard to do. That's not an easy thing to do. And I think that veteran players, we're not here to try to tell you how to play, but we're here to tell you how to get through this long season. It's a long, hard season, and especially playing in New York. The pressure and expectations is not like that anywhere else. You can go a lot of places, and it could be a lot easier to play and everything for you. But when you play in a big city and you have to compete with the Yankees in town too, the expectations are going to be big. And so younger players don't ever think guys are trained to tell you how to do this. We know you have talent. We want you to do it. But I think with the analytics, I don't have a problem with that, whatever it is. I didn't play under that. I played fundamental baseball. I know how that works. I know I never went up there swinging up to try to hit the ball in the ballpark, TC. I know I just hit the baseball hard and it takes care of itself. Okay, they're in a different time. We get it. But at the same time, you're going to have to stick to what got you there. How did you get there to the big leagues? How did you get there playing baseball? How did you grow up playing baseball? And that's what counts. Fundamentals of baseball counts in games when you got to play in October. And if you're not fundamentally sound, it just shows. It's going to show up. And look what happened to the Yankees. Fundamentally not sound, it showed up. That's what's going to show up when you really need to understand what fundamentals are. Making the plays, not giving the extra outs. And I think a lot of times the players today don't realize that, and that can cost you in a big series.
Hey, Darryl, obviously there's a few guys who played on both sides of the city in New York. Did you find one place tougher to play than the other?
Not really. I mean, I think it's a lot easier to play in New York when you've already played there and experienced New York because the fans are just different fans. It's a different fan. And each fan base love their team. The Yankee fans and Mets fans, they love their team. And there's a rivalry between each other in the city, who rules the city. And no one rules it if you don't win. That's the whole thing about it.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
it does solve a lot of problems, doesn't it? That winning.
It solves all the problems of who wins. But I enjoy playing in a place like that because you know what I learned, TC, they're gonna stand on their feet when you do well, and when you don't do well, they're gonna let you know. I don't know how much they do that today with the players because the players are a little bit more sensitive when it comes to fans getting at them. But they have great knowledge of the game and understanding of the game, and their passion for it is their team. And that's what I love about the city of New York. It's the greatest place to play, regardless of who won this year. There's no place when you're winning and those fans are standing up on their feet cheering for you. That place gets louder than any place I've ever been in. And I've been in some places where they were loud before, but I've never been in places as loud as they have when I played in New York City.
Yeah. Darryl, were you shocked that you guys didn't win another championship in New York?
I was shocked.
With the teams you had?
I was totally shocked. I was disappointed and shocked because we had great teams every year. And our goal coming out of spring training was winning. It wasn't can we win. See, one thing people don't understand about those years, TC, is there was no wild card. So you had to win the division. You had to conquer.
Right.
You had to conquer over some teams that were going to be great in your division. We had to conquer the Cubs. We had to conquer the Cardinals. We had to battle the Pirates later on in my career. We had to battle. We didn't have much to battle with the Braves because we used to kill them back in later and started dominating. But I was shocked that we just couldn't get through, especially that '88 season. The '86 team had more guts than the '88 team. The '88 team had more talent than the '86 team. A very
Wow.
talented young group of guys, players that was coming through, and we developed well. I could say that. Give credit to the front office because they developed well through the system, and they knew how to keep a team together going forward to win. Steve, when you win 95 games a year, you're supposed to win. And if you that's what it was for us. We were winning 90 plus games a year, but you had to win the division to get in. If we had a wild card, we would have been in every year. Now we would have had more chances to get in further and deeper into the playoffs, but we didn't. So we lost in '88 against the Dodgers, and it's just like the Dodgers this year beat the Mets this year. I was hoping the team would beat that Dodger team, but that Dodger team just is more talented than the Mets are right now, and the Mets are improving. I like the direction they're going in. I like what the front office is doing. I like moving in a direction where they see young players as important. And I think that's going to help them in the long run. Like, 'cause the Braves are like that. The youth, they extend themselves to the youth to develop.
Yeah.
Take your falls right now and build it for the next couple of years. By the time they're 25, they'll all be ready to win. So that's a good thing to see coming from them.
Yeah. So Darryl, all the great players you played with and against, tell me what. So if you started out a week and you're looking down who you got this week. You got the Braves, you got the Reds. Was there one pitcher that you said, I can't wait to face him, or one pitcher that you said, ooh, I hate facing that guy?
Well, I always hate facing Nolan Ryan, because Nolan was
Did you?
different.
Did you?
Oh yeah, he didn't have that success for just nothing. He had it because he was a different breed of pitcher. He was like Tom Seaver, Bob Gibson type of guy that stare you down, look you down, and like get in the box and he throw one under your chin, like just to let you know, I control the mound, I control the plate. There was not a lot of other pitchers like that. All the rest of them used to think they can get me out. Nolan knew he could get me out. That was that's a big difference,
Yeah.
and thinking, can I get him out? But Nolan knew. I mean, I got Nolan a couple of times too, but he just knew most of the time. He knew he can get me out, and that was just one of those things. And I realized that, and I had nothing but respect for him. Most of the other guys I faced, I was like, okay, come on, bring it, because I got the. It's all about TC. It's all about pitchers making mistakes. That's really what it is. They're gonna make it. It's just that can I capitalize on the mistake? And a lot of times
Yeah.
I did.
Well, yeah, I sure did. I remember going in there when I first got to the big leagues with the Pirates. I remember going to New York and we didn't have, we had scouting reports, but it wasn't like it is today where the numbers were random. And I just remember one time Jim Leland standing up in front of the guy, in front of the team, just saying, hey, look, we get the lead. We can't let Strawberry beat us. So, so I was actually the bullpen coach on those teams, and we were getting later in the game, and those guys, they started getting itchy because they knew they were going to have to face you. And of course, Jim, just before the game, said, hey, you can't let this guy beat you. And they're going, oh man,
Well, Jim Leland was a great manager.
Oh yeah.
I have nothing but high respect for him. Managed the Pirates and handled them, and where he brought the Pittsburgh organization to. He brought them to a winning place, and I have utmost respect for Jim. I always did, and he could chuck on some cigarettes over there, and his nerves.
Oh my, he sure could. Yeah, yeah.
But he was a good man. He was a good man.
He was a good. Yeah, he was great. Well, Darryl, I know John's got some questions for you. He's a lifelong Mets fan, and he's probably watched you more than you can possibly imagine how many games he watched you play. So I know he's got some good questions for you. So, John, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Terry. Yeah, Darryl, I've watched you since day one. I mean, I go back and Mets season ticket holder in New York for many years, and got a chance to experience some incredible memories with you at the plate. I want to talk about the '86 team, which will never be forgotten, obviously. To this day, that team is revered by the fans who were fortunate enough, like me, 38 years ago, to be able to be there at Shea Stadium to see that magical season. And to those who are younger and have to experience it through videos, to this day, there are autograph shows, there are reunions with the '86 group of players. Talk to us about that '86 team and how special it is when you all get a chance to get together again.
It's very special. It's a very unique group of guys, um, all type of personalities, which made us great, which made us believe in each other, which made us have each other back. And I think that was the most important thing about a team because we had lost in '85 to the Cardinals, and most people don't realize we won 98 games that year and still lost to the Cardinals. And that last game in St. Louis, our locker room was quiet. So I knew it was a group of guys that were coming back next year, and we all knew that too. And we came to spring training that next year. In the first meeting, Davy Johnson said, but he said, "We're gonna win it all. We're gonna dominate." And we just thought to ourselves, "Okay, this is our year. This is our year to do that." And we got off to a slow start, and the media was talking about, "Yeah, they're gonna dominate." But once we got rolling, it was over. We did exactly what Davy predicted us to do, and it was because of the team. It was because of the chemistry. It was because of the having each other back, and I think a lot of times people don't realize how important that is when you're going through a long season. You're gonna have some highs, you're gonna have some lows, but having each other back means everybody's got to be on board. Everybody's got to pick each other up, and that's what it was. We didn't have to look to one player. This guy, yeah, Keith was great, Carter was great. I was, Mookie, Kevin, Ray Knight, but everybody picked each other up. We had Tuffle coming off the bench. We just had different chemistry. Lenny, we just had so many different guys that plugged in and that's what's important playing in a place like that. And I think that's why that team is so special. That team, that's the only team I played on had guts to do about anything and wasn't worried about what people thought about us. If we was gonna fight, we was gonna fight. It was gonna be all of us. We were gonna be in it. If we was out and you mess with us and you was in the bar and you mess with our teammates, we was on you. I mean, we just had each other back. I mean, was it gonna be some headlines? Yes, it was a lot of headlines about it. But the thing about it is everybody had such great respect for each other on that ball club that we came to the ballpark together. And when we stepped between the lines, I don't care if we had animosity, because we did. Every team has some animosity. You know that, TC.
Yes.
But, that's part of it. But you don't let that interfere with what you do when you step on the field. And that's what was special about the '86 Mets. We didn't let anything interfere with what we was doing on the field. We was going to completely dominate. We knew ball game. We didn't care. Teams would jump out 5-0 on us over there, and they'd be high fiving. It'd be like the second, third inning. We sit over there thinking to ourselves, "These guys just don't know. We're coming back and winning this ball game." They had no clue, and we would come back and win it because that's just the way we were. We just knew how to do that.
Yeah, it was such a magical team, magical time for the franchise, and team will never be forgotten. Watching you over the course of your career, you've hit some majestic home runs, some historic home runs. I remember opening day when you in Montreal and you hit 2 home runs, but one of them hit actually the top of the stadium. I remember the '86 World Series home run in Game 7. I remember a walk-off you hit against Johnny Franco where the Reds were leading, and then you came in. And I was at that game. I was sitting right behind the batter's circle, and I saw that ball just hit that scoreboard, and it was like never seen anything quite like it. And then there was the St. Louis home run as well, which hit the clock. So which one out of all these home runs, is there anyone that stands out in your memory as like, that's my favorite home run?
Yeah, the 2 in the National League Championship Series. One against Nolan. He was throwing a 1-0 shutout. Him and Doc locked up in the game, and Nolan was dealing. And I hit a ball down the right field line to stay fair to tie that game, and we go on to win that game. And the one against Nepper, he was up 4-1, and I hit a 3-run homer, and we tied that game, and we go on to win that game. We don't win those games, we go home. Because Scott was dominating us in that series. All the other home runs are regular season home runs. Those are great. Those are great home runs and things like that. But nothing's bigger than postseason home runs. When you get into postseason, you hit big home runs in crucial situations because then post window of time. TC know that. He'll tell you that. That's just a short window. You ain't gonna have. It ain't gonna be. I got to get them the next day, every day. It's a short window. Those games are so critical for you and your team, and to be able to tie those games up, and then we can go on to win those games. That's how we end up winning that series. Because if I don't hit those home runs, we going home because Nolan's dealing. Nobody's touching him, and I tie the game, and then he comes out of the game, because Doc's pitching, and it's a 1-1 game. And we have a chance still to win the ball game. And the Nupper game, I just tied that up with a big 3-run homer, and Lenny would hit a home run in the 10th, I believe it was, that got us the victory in that game. So that's just the way baseball is, and I'm all about not the individual stat. I'm all about what makes your team more successful when you clutch home runs. And those situations were the clutch situations that I believe made our team successful and go on to be able to win that year.
Totally. It was just great watching all of that, and that roller coaster series in '86 against the Astros. There's nothing like it, especially that 16-inning game to finish it off. I want to take you back to June 1st, the day the Mets retired your number 18 forever. It was your day. And then you, of course, celebrated that. But you also thanked so many people who were part of your journey. And it was also a time where the 2024 Mets were not in a very good place. I mean, they were kind of hitting rock bottom. They had started 0-5. They won 11 games under 500 right around that time. But you made it a point at the end of your speech, and we're going to play a short little clip from that. Things were not good in Queens for the organization. The Mets were losing, and they were in a good place. But you delivered a very inspirational message to the fans, the players, the organization, which I'll play for you now, and I'll get your thoughts on that on the other side.
But most of all, to you fans and to the players of the day, embrace this. It goes fast. These are the greatest fans you will ever play in front of. They will stand on their feet for you and cheer you on. They will let you know when you suck. Don't worry about it, guys. It's part of it. But push through, because you guys have it. You have the talent. Believe in each other. Care for each other. Trick each other out. And I just want to say to Steve and Alex, for this organization, David Stern, the best is yet to come for you guys. Just know that. It's a process, but the best will come. Because you guys have the right heart for it to make these fans great again. Because they are faithful, and I experienced it more than you could ever imagine. And I'm forever grateful for this day. I celebrate you guys. I will never forget you guys. You guys will always be in my thoughts and my prayers. And I love you guys, and God bless you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Cold chills on that one.
It's just when you play in front for eight seasons, it's no other feeling. It's the greatest feeling to be able to play in front of people that care, that have passion, and that support you, that's going to cheer you on. But also what I love about them, they're going to let you know when you're not playing well. And that's not a bad thing. For me, that was great. I thrived in that. I thrived in that atmosphere of not when they got on me and let me know that I wasn't playing well. And they were right. You need to pick it up. And it makes you a better ball player. And I just think the moment in time of seeing this team and seeing what Steve and his wife has done and David, and realizing that I was in spring training with them and saw Mindy and saw what they had, the coaching staff, and saw the talent that they had there. You know, they have a tremendous amount of young talent coming through their farm system. And it's just about others, because I experienced that myself, you know, with all of us coming through the farm system, the guys that came behind me. But I saw the guys that were coming through our farm system, and I knew they all could play. Kevin Mitchell, Kevin Elster, Lenny, Doc, you know, you go on, you got Sid and Ronnie, they came through from trades, but they were in our farm system, and I knew these guys can play. And that's the same thing that I tried to encourage that team about. You know, you guys got to come together. You guys got to pull together. You got to not be one-sided. And I think they struggles were early in the year is being one-sided. One-sided meaning they didn't have the identity of who they were. And I think when they made the turn, they started identifying themselves. They said, okay, now we got into the clubhouse. We had a meeting. We let everybody talk. We need to air the room out. We need to clear, you know, what animosity or whatever's going on in here. And we need to come together like that made it very special for them. That's why you end up seeing them have a very special run, because they came together. Had they not came together, they wouldn't have never had that kind of run. But they did. They put it all together. They had to put everything and keep the noise. They had to keep the outside noise out. You got to, you know, when you play ball, you got to leave the outside noise out. And what I'm talking about there, guys, you got to leave the media out of the clubhouse. You got to leave everybody else out of the clubhouse. This is about our team. This is about our coaches. And this is about us. And this is how we got to roll. And this is how we got to fix this. And I give a lot of credit to, you know, Mindy, the manager. He did a great job with that team. I mean, it was his first year, and it was a hard thing to do. To keep the balance and not let guys get completely lost. Did they get lost a little bit? Yes, I think they got lost a little bit in that first half. Everybody started looking around and looking at who's not doing what, and instead of like, okay, let's pick each other up. And when they got rolling, it was all about who got it done. Let's just get it done. And TC know that. That's what teams are all about. That's what takes teams to the next level. As when you guys can communicate and come together and play together like that, then it makes it special for them. And that's why they had a special season at that second half of the season, that run they had for the season, because I think they put their egos to the side and they said, guys, we got to be a team if we expect to win.
Yeah, it was a magical second half of the season for sure. One of the most memorable in Mets history for sure. My final question to you, and then we have a couple of fan questions, is about your life outside of baseball and your life today. You travel around the country every day with your wife, Tracy, to help others find their way. What led you to wanting to share your life, your faith, and your message to others who want to find their way in their lives today?
I just think life is a journey. Life is all about experiencing things, and we all gonna go through some type of trials and tribulations. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. That doesn't mean life is over. And I think a lot of times that's what's happened in this nation. People have gotten complacent and pointing fingers at people. Why point fingers at people? This life is hard. It's hard to do. It's hard to be on. If it was easy, it would be so simple for all of us. But it's not. It's a challenge, and I realize that. And I realize that the things that I've experienced in life and who I get to be today is I'm truly grateful for it. I'm truly grateful for the love that God has for me and that He's extended to me, that I'm able to go back and extend to somebody else. And I think we'd be better off if, as a nation of people, if we didn't point fingers at each other and we just try to help each other. There's a need out there for those that are hurting, those that will never live a life of fortune. I think one thing that people have to stop listening to. You got to stop listening and looking at the government to help you and celebrities to help you. There's real people out there with real, agendas to help people. And I think people need to look towards that, to get the help that is needed, because we all need help in some kind of way. I wish I could say, this was a perfect life. It's not. And, I'm a prime example. It's not perfect, from what I've experienced firsthand and been able to stand up and take responsibility, because of people helping me. It was my wife that helped me. It was my mother that helped me. And it was that friends that helped me get on the other side and be the man that I am today. So I'm truly grateful for people helping me.
You've had a remarkable journey in your life story.
Thank you.
Everyone can go to, oh, you're welcome. You can go to findingyourway.com if you want to learn more about Darryl and Tracy and their mission and what they're doing today. And it's just a great website. And Darryl, I watch you on Instagram. I hear you with your testimony, and it's very inspirational, whether you're a baseball fan or just somebody that just has a regular job and working. And so I really have to, it's very inspiring. That's all.
Thank you.
That's what I'd like to just let you know. I got a couple of questions from the fans, and this one comes from our Instagram account from Green Machine 82. And he asked, Darryl, which players today, if any, do you view as the most similar to you?
Well, similar. That's kind of hard to say. I mean, I view a guy like Aaron Judge, power hitter. I view a guy like Lindor, just an all-around player that can, run, hit for power, steal bases. He can run the bases, play defense. Just a complete player. The guy like that. He does it all. And that's the kind of way I played the game. Ran, hit, hit for power. Just a complete player. And those guys really stand out. Some of the other guys, that stood out is with guts is like a guy like Harper, from the Phillies, first baseman. He got guts. A guy like Mike Trout. If Trout could stay healthy, he is one of the most phenomenal players that ever played the game. But he just can't stay healthy for some reason. The injuries keep plugging away at him, and you'd have probably seen a whole different level of numbers put up if the injuries didn't get him.
Yeah, totally agree. Next question from the fans comes from our Facebook page. David from Las Vegas asks, Darryl, talk to us about your current relationship with Doc Gooden, and how did it feel to have both of your numbers retired in the same year?
I mean, I have a tremendous relationship with Doc Gooden. Behind the scenes, our personal relationship is real. He knows I love him, and I know he loved me. I think when you always have to be like faced in the media about questions, opinions about us two, it's been so unfair because we're not the same people. We're two different people. We live different lives and everything. We come from different places. I'm from LA. He's from Florida. That's different. And we grew up different. Doc is very shy and quiet. Me, I'm not. I like to talk at times. And there's nothing wrong with that. My opinions is my opinions, but I don't have opinions to hurt anybody. My opinions is to help people and try to love. People try to say, well, he thinks he's better than. No, I'm not thinking I'm better than. I have been in some of those places that Doc has been and going through. It's like you need people there that love and care for you, not people just talking and saying that they're your friends, and Doc knows that with me. He knows that I'm a true friend, and he realized that, and I realized that he is too. And to be able to have our numbers retired in the same year was just incredible. It speaks a lot about new ownership, Steve and Alex, and what they think of us and what they think of what we accomplished there, because when you look back on it, we actually was the beginning of the new era for the New York Mets when we came up. From the days of the Seavers and all those guys, we became that new group of guys, and we helped that team and helped that franchise move forward to get into the winning circle.
Got it. Final question. This is from Larry from New Jersey. Darryl, with the Mets' new ownership, or Steve Cohen owning the team now for 4 years, and the organization now seeming to embrace more and more of their history. Give us your thoughts about what the Cohen family has done to bring back some of the old timers of the past, and are the Mets in excellent shape for the foreseeable future?
The Cohen family has brought back so much for the fans. And they will continue to do that because they love their fans, and they do love the Mets. And I think it's a new season, new time for them. I think they are headed in a new direction of putting winning teams on the field every year to try to embrace their fans like they did this season. I think it was just the beginning of that for them, and I think they have the right direction. I think they have the right leader in David, baseball guy. When you look at Milwaukee and look at what he did with Milwaukee all those years, that Milwaukee team this year, that's David Stern's team. He put that together. He just left there, so he's had them running in the right direction for a long time, and they are not an expensive team, far as salary wise and everything, and to be in competition and compete. So right there tells me that he knows about baseball. He understands the game of baseball, and he understands that you don't have to, throw a boatload of money to older guys here and there, and you can develop these younger guys, and you can blend them in with some of these veteran guys, and it works, and you win. And I think he's done a phenomenal job with that. And I just hope their fans can see that and realize that, I think their goal is not to be a wild card every year. Get in and get that lucky to be a wild card and get yourself all the way to the National League Championship every year. I think their goal is to try to be a team that's better than the Braves, that's better than the Phillies. They don't have to look at a lot of the other teams and better than the Dodgers. You have to come back and learn how to beat those teams in the National League. You can't worry about the Yankees. You can't worry about the other teams. You got to worry about the National League. Who do we get better than in the National League? Our goal is to win the National League Championship Series, and that's what really springs you forward to get to the next level. And I think that's what they're working towards, and it's a good sign to see that.
All right. I really appreciate your time today. I'm going to toss it back to TC.
Well, Darryl, you're the best. Thank you so much for your time today. And you know what? Not just the Mets family, but all of baseball is glad you're feeling better. You got through that heart issue you had, and you're back out there on the road and doing all your stuff, and it's great. We're very, very proud of you. I'm so proud that you would take time today to be on my show, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Anytime, TC. You know that. You're the man, brother. You know we love you.